For 2 years, I was nothing but a rat in the walls of the Obsidian Keep. The castle belonged to Lord Kaelen, the Ash Wolf, a warlord so brutal, mothers in the southern provinces used his name to terrify their children into obedience. But to me, his fortress was the only thing keeping me alive. My uncle, Silas, burned my family alive to steal our lands. I was the only survivor. A 14-year-old girl who crawled through the ashes of her own home, ran north, and slipped into the ancient, forgotten servant passages of the enemy's castle. I became a ghost. But a ghost can't get revenge. Tonight, I didn't slip out of the walls to steal bread. I slipped into Kaelen's private study to steal a message from his desk. A letter I watched a raven drop off an hour ago, a letter bearing my uncle's wax seal. I broke the seal and read the words. My blood ran cold. Before I could turn back to the hidden panel, the heavy oak door slammed shut. The sound cracked like a whip. Lord Kaelen stood blocking the only exit. He didn't wear his armor, just a loose black tunic, but he looked larger than a mountain. His eyes, a piercing, unnatural gold, pinned me to the floor. The air dropped 10 degrees, thick with the scent of ozone and violence. "You're losing your edge, little rat." Kaelen's voice was a low, lethal rumble that vibrated against my sternum. "For 2 years, I let you live because a ghost who steals bread is harmless. But stealing my intelligence, that is a death sentence." He closed the distance between us with the silent grace of an apex predator, slamming his hand against the wall right next to my head, caging me in. The heat radiating from his massive frame was suffocating. I didn't cower. I couldn't. My heart battered against my ribs, but my fingers tightened around the parchment. "If you kill me, you die tomorrow," I breathed, forcing myself to meet his terrifying golden eyes. Kaelen paused. A dark, dangerous amusement flickered in his gaze. "Is that so? My uncle Silas arrives tomorrow to sign your peace treaty," I said, my voice steadying. "But this letter isn't for you. It's to his inside man. He's bringing 20 mercenaries disguised as diplomats. They aren't coming to sign a treaty. They are coming to slit your throat at the table." Silence stretched between us, heavy and dangerous. I watched the golden rings of his eyes contract. "And who are you?" Kaelen whispered. His thumb reached out to trace the jagged burn scar on my neck. "I am Alora of House Silverwood, the rightful heir to the land Silas stole." I lifted my chin. "I am offering you a trade. My life and his head." A slow, terrifying smile curled the corner of the warlord's mouth. "Deal." The next morning, I didn't recognize the woman staring back at me in the mirror. Kaelen's servants had scrubbed 2 years of dirt from my skin. My tangled hair was brushed out, falling in long, fiery waves. But it was the dress that made me stop breathing. It was a gown of midnight black silk, embroidered with silver threads. It was ruthless. It was royal. But I wasn't stupid. As the servants turned their backs, I slipped a sharp silver steak knife from my breakfast tray and slid it deep into the hidden pocket of my sleeve. The door clicked open. Kaelen stepped inside. He was fully armored now, dark steel plating that made him look like a god of war. He stopped when he saw me. For a fraction of a second, the terrifying warlord faltered. His eyes dropped from my face down to the curve of my waist before snapping back up. The air in the room suddenly felt dangerously thin. He walked toward me, pulling a heavy silver chain from his pocket. I felt the heat as his chest against my back as he fastened it around my throat. The heavy silver pendant of the Ash Wolf dropped against my collarbone. A very public claim of protection. "Listen to me," Kaelen murmured.
his voice a gravelly whisper against my ear that sent a jolt of electricity straight down to my toes. When those doors open, you do not flinch. You do not look away. I turned to face him. The sheer size and power of him was intoxicating. Look at him, Kaelen commanded softly. Then remember who stands behind you.
The great hall was packed. In the center, sitting at the massive iron table, was my uncle Silas, flanked by 6 of his elite mercenaries. He looked exactly as I remembered, cruel, arrogant, and fat with stolen wealth. The heavy doors groaned open. The herald slammed his staff against the floor. "Lord Kaelen, the Ash Wolf," the herald bellowed, "and his protected guest, Lady Alara of House Silverwood." The entire hall went dead silent. I stepped into the light, Kaelen a massive, dark shadow at my side. My uncle's face lost all its color. He pushed back from the table, his chair scraping violently against the stone. "Impossible," he choked out. "She burned in the fire." "A fire you set, Silas," I said. My voice echoed through the massive chamber. "I brought Lord Kaelen your intercepted letters. The peace treaty is over. Your execution begins now." Silas's shock instantly morphed into panicked, cornered rage. He realized the trap had snapped shut. "Kill the warlord," he screamed to his men, "and gut the girl." Chaos erupted. The mercenaries drew their blades, surging forward. Kaelen moved with a speed that defied human logic. He stepped in front of me, drawing his broadsword in a single brutal motion. Clang! He shattered the first mercenary's sword, driving a steel-plated fist into the man's face. He ducked a second blade, severing the attacker's leg at the knee. The hall was a blur of blood, screaming, and tearing steel. But Silas's men were desperate. While Kaelen was engaged with 3 of them, a 4th mercenary slipped past his guard. The man lunged at me, a jagged dagger aimed straight for my chest. "Ilara!" Kaelen roared. Kaelen turned, leaving his back exposed to reach me. A mercenary's blade sliced across Kaelen's unarmored shoulder, drawing a thick line of blood, but the warlord didn't even flinch. I didn't freeze. I didn't scream. 2 years of surviving in the dark took over. As the mercenary grabbed my shoulder, throwing his weight forward to drive the dagger into my heart, I dropped to my knees, slipping beneath his guard. My hand snapped to my sleeve. I drew the stolen silver knife and drove it upward, burying it hilt-deep into the soft flesh under the mercenary's jaw. The man choked, his eyes rolling back as his warm blood sprayed across my hands. He collapsed at my feet. I stood up, breathing heavily, the bloody knife still gripped in my fist. Kaelen had finished the rest. The room was deathly quiet, save for the groans of the dying. Kaelen stood panting, blood dripping from the cut on his shoulder. He looked at the dead man at my feet, then looked at me. There was no pity in his golden eyes. There was only raw, burning awe. Uncle Silas was the last one standing. He backed away, trembling pathetically, until he hit the cold stone wall, entirely surrounded by Kaelen's guards. Kaelen didn't sheath his sword. He walked slowly toward Silas, the tip of his blade scraping against the floor, kicking up sparks. But Kaelen didn't raise his weapon. Instead, he looked back over his shoulder at me. He was giving me the choice. I walked forward. I didn't wipe the blood from my face. I looked at the man who had destroyed my life, feeling absolutely nothing for him. I looked at Kaelen and gave a single, slow nod. With one brutal, effortless swing, Kaelen took my uncle's head.
The adrenaline was fading. My hands began to shake as the guards dragged the bodies from the hall. Kaelen wiped his bloody sword on a fallen banner and sheathed it. He walked toward me, his heavy boots echoing in the quiet room. He reached out, his large, calloused hand gently wrapping over my small, bloody fingers, taking the silver dining knife from my grip. He tossed it onto the table. "You're bleeding," I whispered, looking at the dark crimson staining his tunic. A scratch, he rumbled, stepping closer. The scent of battle mixed with the clean, sharp smell of pine that always clung to him. He reached up, his thumb gently wiping a smear of blood from my cheek. His eyes were incredibly dark. The primal violence of the fight had faded, leaving something much more dangerous in its place. "The rats are gone from your house, Alara," he said, his voice dropping to a low, intimate frequency. "Silas's men will scatter. Your lands are yours again. You are free to return south." I looked up at him. I thought about my empty, burned estate. Then I looked around at the cold, dark walls of the obsidian keep. The walls that had protected me, the monster who had bled for me. I didn't step away. I stepped closer, until the silver pendant on my chest brushed against his armor. "Is that a command, my lord?" I asked softly, holding his gaze. Kaelen's jaw clenched. The muscles in his throat worked as he stared down at me. The air between us crackled with an electric, unbearable tension. His hand slid from my cheek, moving back to cup the nape of my neck, his fingers tangling in my hair. "No," he breathed, his waist thick with a desperate, possessive heat. "It is an option." He leaned down. His lips brushed a fraction of an inch against mine, so close I could taste the smoke on his breath. "Stay." I closed my eyes, and for the first time in 2 years, I stopped running.